All right. Did you guys all copy homework? Okay, so it's the same thing as yesterday. Page 44 in your notebook if you're not done. That's the construction paper one. Make sure you finish that up by Tuesday because I don't see you guys on Monday. So if you want to come in for study hall, that's fine also. Okay? Today we have a whole bunch of things going on. We're going to finish up we're going to at least work on a little bit of your Cornell notes for tides. We're going to get into that blue paper that we set up yesterday on spring neap tides. And we will have time to get into the tide calendar. Okay? So first thing I'm going to do is give you guys about 8 minutes or so to finish up your Cornell notes from yesterday. How far did you get? About halfway? Yeah. About halfway? Okay. So we'll give you maybe 7 minutes. We'll try that. And if you need a little bit more time, then yeah, I'll give you another minute or two.
Only 26, yeah.
It's on page 26, textbook, on your notebook, page 47. And you need to have at least 2 or more diagrams. Don't have to be colored, don't have to be perfect. Just sketch it out as long as it relates to anything in your page 26. Any questions? Okay, you guys can go. And I mentioned that you can work together, right?
Yeah.
Did I say I want you to work together?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Same thing applies then. So you guys can talk, yeah.
You can just do the diagram.
Sorry, I can't play radio today. Timer's up there. Who was absent yesterday? Marilyn and... Okay, so we started Cornell notes from page... Katie, where's your book? Okay, open it up. Page 26. You're doing one page just on this section right here. Okay. Don't forget, if you guys are drawing a picture, make sure you label objects in there if they involve circles or shapes. Make sure you're showing what they mean. Okay, off camera, you guys can talk, you know. I want you to discuss. You should be working together as a group. Talk story, talk story.
So it's working together.
Huh? Ah. No, when you get to the summary, hold off. Make sure you do the notes on the right section. Make sure you create your questions on the left side. And please make sure you do not do what is a tide, what is a blank, what is a blank. Try and put a little bit more meaning into your question because you have a lot of information on the right side that I can see. So make sure that kind of information can be answered in a little bit better question than a definition question. Yes, Shan.
Can I draw the diagram of it?
If you guys are finished, you can start reading page 27 in your textbook, which is what we're going to be doing today. Jiro, you only have one question. All your notes on that page. Does this cover all the main parts of this section right here? Huh?
No.
Okay, so you got to add more. Huh? Okay. Cameron, you finish? Okay. So this, oh, sorry. All of this right here answers all of the main information on page 26?
Yeah.
It summarizes the whole page. So you understand how all this diagram works in your notes right here? You got to add to it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Make sure you read the captions. Jedi, are you done? Can you make 2 of these for me?
Yes.
Okay, you got about 3.5 minutes left. If I feel like most of you guys are almost done up to the summary, then we'll end earlier. No problem. I'm just curious. Can you guys hold up about how many minutes you need? 0, 1, 2. Okay, I'll give you the rest of that time. 3 minutes. Why are you guys all quiet again?
No, it's like.
Uh-oh, I'm getting film sitting on my desk. They're gonna cut that part out anyway. Okay, you guys got 2 minutes left. If you're done, don't forget, start reading page 27 because that's what today is all about. If you're done. If not, don't worry, keep working. You read 27? Tell me about it.
There's spring tides and there's neap.
What is springtime?
Like a my portion would be
I think you should read it again.
consecutive low and high
You finished, Colby? Can I see? Okay, cool. Did you read 27? Okay. Okay, I know a lot of you guys aren't done, but you know what? We're going to cut it a little bit short. So don't worry about finishing it today. I think you guys at least all have the definition down, right? Okay, so we're going to stop there. I think that's enough to get us to where we want to go today. All right, so let's talk about it. Ooh, who should I pick on today? Who's brave? Jediah, you said me. So Jediah, tell us how does the book define tides? What are tides?
They're the rising and falling of the ocean, and it happens like every 12.5 hours. It switches every 6 hours.
Okay, good. So it's the steady, constant rising and falling of the ocean water level, and you're right, it does change every 6 hours. Okay. About how many tides do you have in a day?
4, 2, 3,
How many tides do you have in a day?
2.
Whoa, we're getting all different kind of answers. Let me rephrase that. How many types of tides can you get throughout a day? You can get 2. What's one of them? High tide or low tide? How many high tides will you get during a day? Typically. Typically, you'll get 2. And then typically you have how many low tides? 2. So like Jediah said, about every how many hours if you have 4?
Oh, so, 24 hours.
6.
You have, okay, let me rephrase that. If you have 2 high tides, 2 low tides, and they all occur in one span of 24 hours, about how often does it change, Jediah?
6 hours.
6 hours. So every 6 hours, you're going to have a high tide, you're going to have a low tide, you're going to have a high tide, you're going to have a low tide. Pretty consistently, okay? Who else should I pick on? Anybody else feeling brave? Ian, explain to us why do we have tides? What causes the tides? The gravity of the moon. What do you mean? Somebody add to that. Kobe. That's correct. Okay? So we're going back to our trusty model here that we've been using the past how many weeks already that's kind of broken, right? We're going to fix it. So we're looking at the pull, the gravitational pull of the moon. I hear happy birthday. We should stop. Is it done? Okay. So we're looking at the gravitational pull of the moon. Okay? Here's a question for you that you should have just read about. Oh, I don't know if it mentioned it yet. Does the sun exert a gravitational force on this system right here? Does the sun's gravity put a force on Earth and the moon?
Yes.
How do we know that?
Because
Because we're stuck in the orbit. That's correct. Now, you just told me that the moon also exerts gravity on the Earth. So which one is stronger?
Sun.
Is it going to be the sun or the moon? What do you guys think? The sun? Why the sun, Jada? Because it's bigger. However, the moon is actually pulling stronger. Anybody have an idea why? Why? Because it's closer. The moon is actually sitting closer. It's okay, you didn't know that yet. That's on the next page, so don't worry about it. The moon is actually sitting closer than the sun, even though the sun is way more massive. So the stronger pull actually is coming from the moon. Does that mean that no gravity is coming from the sun? No. Not at all. It's still pulling on it. Both of them are pulling on it, but the moon is actually pulling harder. Okay, so remember, does the moon ever stay still? No, we have the movement system, right? So at all times, is the pull going to be equal? No, it's always going to be changing, and that's why you have your tides. Okay? Now what we're going to do is look at your twofold. So that blue paper, thank you, Judah. The blue paper that we set up yesterday. Anybody else was absent? Just you two, right? We set up the front half, so now we're going to be working on spring tides and neap tides. Okay? Before we get into that, I want to make sure you guys know your learning targets for today. Your first one is you're going to clearly explain, this is something we've been doing over the past weeks already, how the sun, moon, and earth are interacting with each other and how does it impact earth. What we're going to do right now is we're going to compare spring and neap tides. And lastly, if we don't have time today, we'll get to it the next time I see you, but we're going to start it today. You will be able to analyze the tide on your birthday and also predict what's going to happen to future tides. Okay, and that's coming up probably the next time I see you. Okay? So what I'm going to have you do now is on that blue sheet, on the two outside flaps, you are going to be filling in the definition and paraphrase. Sorry, definition and paraphrase.
Do we still have to write in color?
No, you can use your pencil, pen, whatever. What I want you to fill in the two top sections, which is definition of spring tides, paraphrase of spring tides, and the other one's for neap tides. If you guys want to work together on defining, paraphrasing, that's fine. All we're doing is we're copying notes down. Okay? If you finish, you can go ahead and answer the bottom two, but if not, don't worry about it. We're going to move on to something else. Okay? Any questions?
No.
All right, you guys can go. I'll give you about 5 minutes. So it's all on page 27. Oh, that's right. Can you help her set that up? Okay, thanks. Why are you guys so quiet on the days you're supposed to be talking?
Always quiet.
Liar. Oh, my voice is going. Oh, they picked that up on camera. Okay, we'll edit that out. Did you find it?
Can't find it.
Page 27?
Yeah.
You can't find what?
Definition.
Isn't it this? The combined forces producing tide with the greatest difference.
Okay, but it says their combined forces. So what is their? What is it talking about though?
Sun and the moon.
The earth.
No, the earth and
The sun and the moon.
yeah.
Because both of those two are pulling on it. So the forces of that are causing the bottom part of what you just read. The greatest differences. Did you guys all find definition of spring tide?
Yeah.
So it should be something along the lines of maybe greatest differences of something, right? Hopefully. I think paraphrase is a little difficult for these, yeah? A little bit. So you gotta think. That's where a discussion might come in handy. I agree. I would agree with that. Yes, Cheyenne. Yes.
Are we paraphrasing the definition?
Yep.
Okay.
So think about what it means. It's the greatest difference between consecutive low and high tides. So that'll be like really low and then really high. So how can you say that in other words besides how it's stated in the book? How are we doing on paraphrase, all right? Okay.
So can I write the?
Yeah, if you're finished.
Where do I find it? Oh, right here.
It's in the pictures, it's also in the reading.
So I just have to like think along.
No, it says
Did I
it.
draw?
No, just write it down.
Oh.
It says it right in here. Try read it. Are most of you guys almost done with definition paraphrase? Like 1 more minute kind?
I already started.
Paraphrase? Okay. I'm gonna have to call the audible about the group thing, the month thing. Okay. There'll still be group stuff though. You guys want another minute?
Please.
Okay.
2.
1 minute. Get as much as you can done in 1 minute, and then we'll go over it, so don't freak out. We'll get it in there. Huh? I don't know. Paraphrase, yeah. Are you having trouble? Okay, so what's the definition?
A tide with the greatest difference between consecutive low and high tides.
Okay, so think about what that means. It's the greatest difference from low, so low water, to high water. The greatest difference in between.
So
So it's a big range, right? So how can you say that in other words, but kind of mean the same thing?
The tide where the tides level changes more.
Wait, what?
Changes?
Okay, but changes in what way? Because it's mentioning that the greatest difference between the lowest low and the highest high. So the range, you guys know about range, right? The range is the highest in a spring tide. So it's not a low range, it's a high range. For example, look on this picture. The water is going to go up a lot more rather than hardly anything in a spring tide. AJ, you finish? Okay. I know you guys have been doing definitions, but do you understand the definitions? Yeah. Okay, good, because we're going to talk about it. So I hope you understand it. Huh? You're supposed to have done too. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. I think a majority of you guys are done, or at least almost done, so let's go over it. So if you're not done, don't worry about it. We're going to talk about it right now, so you have time to fill it in and make sure you have the right information. Okay, so if you're scrambling, don't scramble. Just please pay attention, and you'll be able to catch it. Okay? So let's go over what is the difference between a spring tide and a neap tide. Somebody tell me what a... Let's do spring first. Ren, what's a spring tide?
A spring tide is, wait, the actual definition.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Or can I do my paraphrase?
Okay.
A spring tide is when the tide is extra high or extra low.
Oh, that's a good paraphrase. You guys agree? Okay, wait, stop. Put your pencils down. Everybody stand up. Wake up. Are you guys up? Okay, because you look really dead today. Okay? You're making me look bad. All right? Okay, stretch out. Get your energy flowing. Was that good? Okay, sit down. Okay. You're not sleeping. Wake up.
Yeah, when I stretch, I get tired.
Okay, so that was a good example of spring tides. When you think of the word spring tides, you guys remember the word spring from anything before? What's a spring? Spring roll. A spring makes you go higher. Okay? You guys know what the spring is, like in some kind of a toy or something, like the coily thing? So let's say that I put a spring on the ground. Okay? I put a spring on the ground and I stand on it. And if I jump up and down, can I jump higher? I can't. Okay, so the definition of spring tide is it's the greatest difference. So the very, very high tide versus the very, very low tide. So the biggest difference between a high and a low. So if you think of the word spring tide, think of jumping on a spring. Okay, it's going to go higher or lower, higher or lower. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. So the opposite one is not the greatest differences, but it is the least differences. Okay? So you're not going to have a lot of that range or the fluctuation between a high tide and a low tide. Okay? Here's a question for you. Does it have to do with the moon?
No, it has to do with the sun.
It doesn't have to do with the moon?
Positioning of the moon.
Ah. Take a look at the diagrams on page 27. Take a look at the diagrams on page 27. There are two little mini diagrams on the right side of the page, and they are specifically showing you moon position. Spring tides is on the top or the bottom? On the top. Are the Earth, Moon, and Sun in a straight line? Yes. Okay, so look at our trusty model here. Are they in a straight line? Yes. Okay, you earlier you told me that it's the force of gravity that's causing tides. Okay, but why? Why is there a high tide? Why is there a low tide? I told you that the greater force comes from the moon, right? Okay, so if I do it this way, what moon phase am I in? This is new moon, right? So what direction of the pull of gravity is acting on the Earth right now? Where is it going? Point to the direction that the force is. Look at it. If the force of the sun and the moon are pulling on Earth, which way is the Earth being pulled? Point to that direction. It should be going this way, right? So if the Earth is being pulled this way, well, what happened to the water? Would it come with the Earth? It would. So the water would actually be pulled before the actual Earth, right? Because it's fluid, it's a liquid. So it'll be pulled this way. So what's going to happen on this side of the Earth? High tide, low tide? You're going to have a high tide, okay, if the forces are coming on both sides. In your picture, there's also some water on the back side of the Earth. Anybody have an idea why? Did you read the caption? Why, Judah?
Because the water left over flows to the opposite side of where the moon and the sun are.
Very good. So it's leftover water. That's, remember, is the Earth stationary? No, it's always spinning. It's always rotating, right? So all the water that's on the what's a waller? All the water that's on this side of the Earth, it can't be pulled to this force coming in one direction before it spins back around because it's spinning. Do you guys see that? Okay, so it's gonna stay there, which is the leftover water. So what's gonna happen on this side if there's leftover water? It's another high tide. But you're pulling water from somewhere. What happens to the two sides? It's low tide. You're taking the water from one area, you're moving it. All the water's doing is moving. Okay, so you have your low tides on the side. So at all times on Earth, how many high tides do you have? How many high tides do you have at all times? You have two. One of them coming from where the moon is pulling, because that's a stronger pull. The other is on the back side. Okay, you also have how many low tides during a day? At all times. About two. Okay? Cool. Any questions on that? Negative? All right. Let's look at something that you might be familiar with. So this is a really quick animation. Can you guys see it in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. So what it's showing you are solar tides means that it's the pull from the sun. Lunar tides is the pull from the moon. Okay. The yellow is the force acting on the Earth from the sun. The purple is the force acted upon by the moon. Do you guys notice which one is bigger? Moon. The lunar pull, the moon pull is bigger. Okay. So as the moon is orbiting one time, how long does that take again? The moon's orbit? The moon's orbit takes 1 month, remember? The moon cycle is 1 month. So this real quick cycle is actually about 29, 30 days. Okay? But notice the flow of the power, it follows the moon. Do you guys see that? Okay, so wherever the moon is going, it's pretty much pulling the water with it. And since you know the moon is cycling around, based on moon phases and eclipses, it's actually pulling the water. And the tides are exactly aligned with where the moon is going. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? Okay, good. Now let's get to our actual fun part of today. Well, I think it's fun. Okay, this is an example of a blown up version of 2 days in a tide calendar. So I mentioned that we're going to be looking at a tide calendar today. It's a typical 12-month calendar, except that it shows a lot of different features not on a typical calendar. Okay, so this is what you're going to look at when you open up your tide calendar, except you're going to see 30 of these little blocks. So this is, I think it's December 30th and 31st. I have this year's calendar, so it's 2015. But there are a whole bunch of things going on in here. Can you guys read the numbers in the back? Okay, so let's talk about what's on here. First off, let's go on this side. First off on this, you have a moon key, which tells you, what is this representing? Your moon phases. Okay, so you have a full moon is represented by colored in yellow. New moon is pretty much a blank circle, and everything in between is going to be partially shaded in. All right? Your moon phases are located here. So if you look up on this picture, your moon phase is there. Okay? You also have a sun. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a sun on every day. And there's an R and S. What does R and S stand for? Rise and set. So it gives you the time of the sunrise. It gives you the time of the sunset on that day. Can you guys see that number? 6 o'clock. 6:01. They're different. So it should give you a hint as to maybe what kind of pattern may be following this. Okay? Your moon is right here, the visual of the moon. The moon also has an R and an S. So does the moon also rise and set? Yes. That's true. Why is that? Why is the sun rise and set for Earth? Is it because the sun moves? It's not the sun. It's we are the one that's moving, right? So since we are moving, isn't the moon going to be the same thing? It's going to look like it's rising and setting. So the moon also rises and sets. And you have times that are, a little bit different than a sunrise and sunset. Okay? You have an H and an L. What do you guys think that means? High and low tide. Remember, there are 2 high tides in a day around, and there are about 2 low tides in a day. It tells you exactly what time it occurs, and this is the height. Okay, so this one is occurring at 12:50 p.m., about 0.6 feet high. And the low tide is 6:37 at a negative 0.2. So what you're looking at, let's look at the 31st. In this block right here is the actual tide level. So you're looking at the blue. Okay, this is basically a graph. Your time throughout the day is here. This is 24 hours. 12 noon is right in the middle. And as you're moving along, your tide is fluctuating. Why isn't it a straight point? Somebody tell me. Why, Dana? Why doesn't it just take a sudden turn like that? Why, Marilyn? Because it takes time, because the Earth is spinning. Does the Earth ever do this, turn, stop, turn again? Does it ever stop? No, right? The Earth is constantly rotating. So you're going to have a curve, a smooth curve. That's why there's no point. Okay? So what you have here is a plotted dot of your high tide. So your high tide, let's say it's at 1:39 a.m. It's at 2.3 feet, so it's going to be plotted right around there. Okay, so you can't see it in the picture. Sorry. The height is on the left side. So this is the 2-foot line right here, 1 foot, 0 feet. So your 2.3 is right around there. And your next low tide will be about how many hours away? About 6 hours. Okay, so from here to here should be about 6 hours. And from there to your next high tide should be about 6 hours. So they're all 6 hours apart. High, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. Do you guys see that pattern? It's going to go on forever and ever and ever. Okay? On our calendar, anyway. All right? That's basically all that happens in this chart. Do you guys understand what's happening in the block? You sure? Any questions on what these numbers mean? Good point. No questions. Okay. Good.
Wait,
Yes, Dana.
you said there's 2 high tides and 2 low tides.
Yes, about.
But then is oh never mind, I see it. It took me a while.
Can you give one to Dylan? Can you give one to Ryan? Okay, the person on your table. The person on your table that has the shortest hair. You are the recorder today. You are writing on that paper. Please put your group members' names on there. The person with the longest hair. You are not doing anything besides contributing to your group today. And the other person, or if you have 2, then the other one. The last person who has, I guess, what, the middle length hair or something? The middle length hair person, you are responsible for making sure that your group gets 5 patterns today, and I'll explain, okay? So you're in charge of your group. So what you're gonna do, on this half sheet of paper. Okay, hi. Hi. What you're gonna do today is your group is going to get, I think I have enough for 2 per group. You're gonna get a tied calendar, okay? You're gonna flip through it. I know it's kind of hard because the blocks are so tiny, but you have to look very, very carefully at these numbers. These numbers are extremely significant in the tied calendar, okay? You guys are great observers, right? Yeah. You guys notice when there's different things about me. So when you stare at the tied calendar, look for changes. Look at the numbers. Look at the sunrise time. Look at the moonrise time. Does it have anything to do with the seasons as you're in maybe summertime versus wintertime? Look at the moon phases. You're going to see the picture changing. Remember that Hawaiian moon calendar that I showed you? Yeah. I showed you the different phases as it goes from day to day. Look for the same thing, okay? The picture is much smaller, but it's here, okay? And see if there's a pattern or a correlation between that and this, okay? So just giving you guys a heads up, right off the bat, there are probably at least 15 to 20 patterns that I could identify in the tide chart, whether it's from day to day, or from week to week, or from month to month. So whatever you guys can find, I want you to write them down. Can do? So together, you guys need to be discussing and throwing out some ideas, but don't talk too loud so your neighbors can hear you, okay? But try and find at least 5 patterns. And if you're not sure, then just ask me, or ask your table person. What are they called? Partners. Okay? Any questions before I pass out your tide calendars? Okay? You have just enough time. So, share your calendars. Make sure you're sitting in an area where you can see both calendars. Person in charge, make sure you take care of that. Writer, you're in charge of writing. You guys just gonna share one, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Whoa. You guys gonna share one? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, I didn't get you guys, sorry. Okay, open it up. Start looking for some patterns. If you guys would like another calendar, let me know. I have one extra. AJ, you can't see the calendar from where you're sitting, so you guys gotta open it up and make sure you can all see.
What exactly are we looking for? Are we making a difference of how big the tides or low it is, or like
Everything. Everything. So everything I just talked about, you have your sunrise, sunset, your moonrise, moonset.
everything is different?
Then write it down. What's a pattern? We're looking for patterns. Okay?
I'm still writing the names. I just spaced them out.
Okay. Okay, so you are looking specifically for a pattern. You guys know what a pattern is, right?
Yeah.
So things that constantly change. So look for it. There are tons of them. Yes.
Like the sun's rise be the same.
Is it the same throughout the whole month?
Not the whole month, but like to a certain day. And
Okay. Why don't you turn the page and see what happens?
As the months go into the
What's
year,
happening to the sunrise?
the tide gets a little bit lower, and then when it gets to more like
So getting earlier or later?
they're getting higher.
or earlier.
It's getting earlier?
Yeah.
Okay. So what season are we in? January, February? Is it cold now? So what season if it's cold?
Winter.
Typically it's winter, right? So as you're going toward the spring or summer months, what do you think happens with the sunrise time? Try and look for that pattern. If you guys identify it, make sure you mark it down. Jiro, how can you see the tide calendar if you're sitting there? Huh?
Yeah, they're getting early.
Oh, that's a good pattern. Put that down.
What I noticed was like when it goes into the month, it kind of gets lower, but then like when it comes to summer, it gets higher, and then it gets lower when it goes to winter.
Are you sure it's not fluctuating just in the month? Look at this week, compare that week to this week. Does this level look the same as this level?
Half of each month is like low tide.
Okay, good. That's a pattern. Try and figure out why. Look at your moon phases. Look at your sunrise, sunset.
Look, it's the same. Look.
Same as.
It's almost the same. Look. Look.
Okay. So what happens as you move?
It changes gradually.
Why is it changing gradually?
Because the stuff.
Yes, right.
Is it patterns between months or days?
Anything. Pattern from day to day, from month to month, from week to week.
Okay.
High tide is full moon.
That's good. Write that down.
That's observation.
That's a pattern. Yeah.
On a full moon, it would be kind of low, but then when it's on a new moon, it's pretty high.
Full moon. Well, if you look at compared to this one right here, is this higher than that one? So it's not really the full moon that's low, it's more these that are low, right? So what phases are these right here?
Or the first.
It's a quarter phase, right? So your quarter phases are not going to have as high tides. Huh? Yeah, that's a pattern. What did you guys find here? What did you guys find?
About every other week.
Very good. Very good pattern. This group noticed one of the most obvious patterns that every other week something is changing drastically. Every other week. Oh, every week. Every other week. Yes.
So we were looking through like the months and everything. And noticed that these things, like that one gets lower and that one gets higher and that one gets lower.
Wait, one more time?
Okay. Like the blue things. Like what are they called?
Just the tide. That's the tide level.
Oh, the tide level.
The water
It's like-
level.
It shows like the tides getting higher and lower.
Okay. So you have a more range. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's true. Does it correlate to anything about the moon phase? Okay. Look at the moon phase as you see those other blue lines. What did you find, Ryan? It's big bumps and then little bumps and then big bumps and little bumps. Good pattern. Write that pattern down. Did you guys find anything?
No, I thought I did because it's like on the moon rising it was like 3:32, then like 4:22, then 5.
Okay, so what's the pattern? It's a pattern.
That's a pattern.
It's a pattern. It's changing every day, right? Okay, so write that down. How is this, guys? Difficult? Is this difficult, guys? Okay, we're going to wrap it up. So what I want you to do, we're going to continue this on Tuesday. So I want you to close your tide calendar. Can you please return it back up to the table? Give me that piece of paper you guys have been writing on. Make sure your names are on it. We're going to fill in the rest on Tuesday.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard because the block is so small. I think that's why it's hard.
Not that I'm making excuses.
I agree with you, Ren. Is that why? Because you're Asian. Real quick. What's up? Got a fan. Who took a? Oh, thanks, Cameron. What other pattern did another group find? Jada, what pattern did you guys find? So they found that it goes high, low, high, low. Did it ever stop going high, low, high, low, high, low? No, that continued. What else? Dana, what did your guys' group find? Jediah, what did you guys find? One pattern.
Every other week it's like, the tides are almost the same.
Every other week?
Yeah.
That's very good. Any explanation to that? Why would they be similar every other week?
Because it takes 1 week to go to go around, and then it's high tide on each side. It's high. So when the moon's over here, so this is the Earth. When the moon's over here, it's high tide. Then when the moon's over here, it's high tide.
Very good, Jediah. Very good. Okay, I'll see you guys on Tuesday.